And we are live again. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to, drumroll please, Choose Happiness, Choose You. I am, of course, Dr. Natalie, your host, hostess, guide, whatever you'd like to call me, for the next few minutes, hours, however long it's going to take for all the information to sink in. I'm very excited to be here because I get to talk with you about you. And that is indeed one of my favorite subjects. Absolutely. Excuse me. And today, I want to talk specifically about how you co-create your life. Now, a couple of episodes ago, you've already heard me, of course, talk about the fact that, yes, it is okay to love yourself. It is actually necessary to love yourself and to know yourself. And then I also talked about clearing some things, opening the cloak of social conditioning. Because there's a lot of stuff here in our heads that I call the hidden power of patterns, those patterns that are in our subconscious mind that we're not even fully aware of. And that can be a really interesting issue for all of us. And we don't really want that because you want to have the power to create your life and to be happy. To be happy, you need to be you. It is crucial. And therefore, as many authorities before me, with me, after me have said, will say, the key to all of that is, of course, confidence. And that relates to the choices you make on a daily, a minute by minute instance. You've heard me give you some of those examples before. Today, I, however, really want to focus on what I like to call tolerations. And I'd be happy to share one of my worksheets with you should you want to work on that. But I'll give you enough insights today so that you can already work on those. And I don't necessarily just want to share it on the screen and then it takes up the whole screen, right? So tolerations, really important because very often we're not fully aware of all of the things we actually tolerate. Now, don't get me wrong. Tolerance is important because we're not an island and we are social beings. We love being with others. Most of us love to serve others. So I'm not saying be intolerant. That is not what I'm saying. We do want to be tolerant. We want to be tolerant. We want to support others. We want to allow others to be themselves as well. It just at times means that in order for us to let somebody else be themselves, we may wish to withdraw from such person, or maybe not. So when I would like us to look at like tolerations, when I say, let's see what are we tolerating, it really is about the things that you tolerate every day on what I like to refer to as autopilot, meaning you're not fully aware that you are even tolerating those things. And then there are those things that you tolerate and then they're just fine. They're part of your life, you're okay with it. And then there are those things that slowly but surely eat at you. Take a hold of your system, take a hold possibly of your thoughts, of your thought patterns. And that's what we can't have. Sorry, can't have that. We cannot have somebody else having the power over your thoughts, because then you are no longer co-creating your life. You are no longer choosing you. So we can't have that. Okay, let's just be clear about that. Therefore, let's take a look at tolerations. Okay. There are things we can do that we tolerate, and they, as I just said, are still part of our lives. So if you're with a spouse, if you're with friends, if you're with colleagues or, other family members, things that you cannot necessarily really withdraw from. Friends, family, you can, by the way. But let's just assume these are in situations where you can't necessarily withdraw. But you're noticing that the way one person always rubs their eye. You ever had that? One person always rubs their eye when they're talking. And slowly but surely, it might begin to eat at you. It might be one of those things where you're saying, oh, that is so annoying. I can't look at that person. And, once we go down that road, every single time that person rubs their eye, we will notice. We will notice and we will take it in. And we go, oh, he does it again. Oh my God, how can he? And then that negative talk begins. And even though you may not think it is negative talk about yourself, you have now, in a sense, given your power to that person and the actions of that person. And of course, we can't have that. That is not something that we want to be continuously having in our lives. Okay? If somebody, for example, always turns around like this, they always turn around, they always look away when you start talking. Well, we can't have that, can we? Because, oh, my hair's up. Because we actually enjoy the eye contact. The eye contact means that you are focused on them. Okay. Now, I have to admit that with intuitive people like myself, we sometimes look to the sides because that's how we, possibly some of us, receive information. Okay. But in general, the idea is to look somebody in the eye to indicate that you're focused on them, to indicate that you're with them, that you're hearing them, that you're listening to them. Hopefully you're listening to them without already making up your own mind what you're going to say. Okay. So that person's consistently doing that with their eyes. It's driving you insane. Well, how can you handle that? Right now you're tolerating it, which on the one hand is great because that person just does that. Question, have you tried to talk to that person about it? Because maybe they're not aware that they're doing it. Rubbing your eyes or rubbing your hands or twiddling your thumbs or looking around like this, or the latest thing, of course, is, that tap with your foot. They sit there like that the whole time, especially young people, and you're wondering what's going on because they're sitting there like this, it's like, oh my gosh, what they're doing. You get the point. So they might not even be aware that they're doing. First step of action, therefore, if you notice it's beginning to negatively impact you, which is not adding to your happiness, but slowly but surely subtracting from it, then talk to them. Of course, if you talk to them, you do that with love, with understanding, and with a high level of tolerance and acceptance. You're going to just talk to them and say, I've noticed you're doing this thing whenever you talk and the focus is on you. And they might go, what? I had no idea I'm doing that. Thank you so much for telling me. They probably are going to continue doing that for at least a little bit because it's a habit. And of course, we all know that habits take a while to change. They can be changed, but they take a little while to change. So after you've alerted them to it in scenario one, and they are welcoming that feedback, they may even ask you for assistance. They may possibly even say, if you're around while I'm doing it, can you give me a little sign? Now you are helping that person to create a little change, to be more aware of themselves. Why? Because you love that person in one way or another. You would like that person to remain part of your life. So you are trying to assist them. And you said, however you brought up that conversation, of course, with love. Very, very important. Now, scenario 2, that is where the person is not quite as receptive. But you won't find out unless you address the issue. It's so funny how whenever it comes to us being happy, to us making choices, we often take a step back and go, back to that issue of, do I deserve that? Should I really? All of those moral guidance questions, okay? So you need to first address it, because we can't change anything. We can't identify anything unless we address it. So here we are, scenario 1, all nice and positive. You're helping that person. Everybody's happy. Good. Scenario 2, the person is not quite as receptive. Not pleasant. They're like, I'm doing that, really? Oh, well, I'll deal with it. I haven't noticed, but yeah, it usually tends to itch, when I do that, it itches, and hi, doesn't matter, does it? And you're like, oh, yeah, it does. I can't listen to you when you do that. You're trying to tell them again with love. You're trying to tell them, oh, I understand that it's a habit. They're just not receptive. Okay. That means now you have a choice to make. You can either, in scenario 2, continue tolerating it and having that person and that person's action slowly but surely taking control of your mind, of your thoughts, you voluntarily, in this instance, giving away your power to them. Because that's really what you're doing, right? You've addressed the issue and you choose to continue being around that person when they speak, and you know that is going to continue slowly but surely upsetting you. And we all know how it goes. We're human, right? It starts with, oh, that's annoying. Oh my gosh, that's really annoying. Oh my gosh, when will he stop? I don't believe that he won't stop. This is just not possible. And now the whole time while he is talking, while other people are talking, you're in this negative realm. That negative realm is coming from you because you've given that person the power to influence your thoughts, your mind, your thought process. So now you're sitting there, and what comes from you to the others is actually negativity. And that's not what you want. But that is a choice you can make. You can say, well, that person is not receptive to what I'm saying. However, I want to be around that person. If you choose that, you now know it's eating at you. So now you need to somehow, again, address it. You know now that person won't change. He, she is okay with it. They have no intention of making a change. Okay. And you say, well, I still want to be around that person. So now you can choose still happiness. You can still choose to remain in power of your thoughts. All you need to do is you modify your attitude just a little bit. Again, the actions won't change. So you can actually modify your attitude. Okay? Modifying your attitude here means that when you see that person starting to do the thing and you're noticing, this is annoying, you begin hearing your own negative self-talk. You need to realize that that's your trigger. Now, what are you going to do with that trigger? Very important. You recognize it, now you act on it. And you don't want to be the negative spiral in the room. So what can you do while you're tolerating and accepting that person and that person's decision not to change? What can you do to modify your response? You're done reacting, because that's like that. You want to actually respond, and respond from a state of mind and a state of heart. that is positive because you want to, of course, remain happy. Well, one thing is you can have something to hold on to. Okay, I've had little things with me before. For example, today I have my little bracelet, okay, or even this necklace. So if it starts annoying you, you could do this. And we've seen, some religious groups, they play with their beads. They actually say a prayer while doing that and calms them down, okay? If you're not religious, if you don't have a prayer, that's okay. But maybe this would calm you down. That person's doing something and you are listening and you're seeing that person, but this is going to help calm you down, as an example. Or if you are into energy and energy healing, you can put your hands together and you can just say, I'm calm, everything is good, I am a positive. You can talk to yourself. Now, be mindful here that while you're talking to yourself, you still want to be listening. So we're looking for ways to modify your response that does not prevent you from hearing what the person's saying, because you want to hear that person, right? That's why you want to stick around with them, even though they're not going to change. Okay, so we got that. Okay, so you can put your hands together and just say, okay, I'm going to clear and cleanse myself. It's all going to be good. You're listening. Now, one thing that I do, I must admit I'm very good at that. I can look at that person but not seeing them. Okay, so almost as if I look through them, but I do want to acknowledge them. So I can look at them, but whatever they're doing over here, I'm not even going to see, because I'm simply focused on what they're saying and their energy. Okay, so think about doing that. Again, it's not everybody's thing, but if you can look at a person and really not see them per se with their outside actions, but see their inside and the goodness that comes through them, if you can focus on that, this thing that they're doing will disappear slowly but surely. Okay. And of course, the other thing is that you do talk to yourself, because there's just no way that you can listen to that person and hear that person while they're doing this. Right? Then you, of course, can absolutely start talking to yourself. Okay? Those are some rather simple ways, initial steps for you to try out when there is somebody with a habit a habit that really, really you're tolerating, but it annoys you, it negatively impacts you with time, and you do not want to lose that person. Yet they're not responsive to changing it. Scenario 2, option number 1, you try and modify your own approach to it. Okay? Very often, honestly, I can either just look through the outer perspective of that person, just see the inside and not be bothered by whatever they're doing. Or, I can put my hands on my thighs and just, send positive energy. And therefore, I keep myself calm and I remain in full control over my thoughts, because I choose to be happy and I choose that I am more important than somebody else's habit. Okay? Now, scenario number 2 has one other option. And that's one that most people hesitate about. And that option is, of course, if the person is completely resistant to your suggestion and it really bugs you and you have not been able to figure out a way to respond to it that keeps you in a positive mind frame, mindset, mind flex, then you probably have to choose yourself over that other person. And that means that you may have to withdraw from that person a little bit. Withdrawing while telling them while you're doing it. And you can do that with love. Again, you can tell them, I accept you the way you are. I accept and respect your choice that this is something that you do. You want to keep doing it. I accept that. I respect that. You have chosen not to change, which is perfectly fine. Since I am having a reaction to it, I would rather, for a little while, not be in a position where I have to witness it. I'm hoping to find a way I can deal with it. And then I would love to return to being in the same vicinity with you. However you would phrase that in your relationship with such a person. Key is pointing out acceptance, tolerance, and respect. Because you understand that person doesn't want to change. And since you are asking to be yourself, you need to allow the same for the other person. They need to be able to be themselves as well. Their choice is not to change. Okay, my choice, therefore, is to not interact with you. All in love. Because it's best for both of us. Right? If we're continuously in the same vicinity, you're doing this thing, you're seeing my reaction. Now you are also feeling my reaction. You know what's going on. You're no longer as relaxed and happy. That's not cool. And I'm sitting over here in that position, seeing you do that, trying my best to stay calm and not give you control over my mind. Because if I give you control over my thoughts, I'm now being the negative person. I'm now being the negative energy. I'm now being the circle that nobody wants to be around, especially not myself. Because while I'm sitting there going, oh my God, he's doing this thing again. I know that I'm not happy. I start tapping my fingers. I'm like, oh, I can't look at this person. Oh my gosh, what is he doing? I'm no longer happy. And I'm tolerating something that negatively impacts me. Therefore, I'm allowing you to be more important than myself. That can't be right. If we cannot find a way to negotiate and mediate, which is perfectly fine, then maybe we have taught each other enough, learned enough from each other, and the time has simply passed for us to be together. Now, very often, as I said, that last way to address a situation, the withdrawal, so to speak, seems to be the hardest. It seems to be the hardest because we're social animals, we like to be around people, and especially if they're family. And yet, if we're really looking at our relationships, we need to understand that everybody teaches everybody and everybody learns from everybody. And just like in school, at some times, you may have outgrown your teacher. Your math teacher in 5th grade is not able to teach 6th grade. Not because he's dumb or anything, but he just hasn't studied it. So you move on from your 5th grade teacher to your 6th grade teacher. That happens, right? It's the same in our private life. That person maybe has nothing more to teach you. Not in a school teacher sense, right? But nothing more that you can learn. And you have nothing more to teach them because they're resistant to whatever you're suggesting right now. So you're at this crossroads, which I love. You're at this crossroads where you now have to say, okay, I have to make a choice. I can continue as before, become negative, give away my power, or I can go over here and say, you know what? Love you. Thank you for everything you've taught me. I hope you're grateful for everything I taught you or showed you. And therefore now, let's move on. And of course, you don't even have to say that out loud. You can just slowly but surely withdraw. After you've told the person, not working for me, love you lots, very grateful for everything, you begin to slowly but surely withdraw. Now that's on you. The power in that is on you. If you truly love and appreciate yourself enough. It is tough because now you need to be the one not answering the call, not going to the meetings or the events where you know you'll see that person that does that, right? It's on you. And yes, you will fall off the wagon. And yes, you will experience situations where you thought you had it all covered and bam, there's that person. Yet with distance, you'll also be able to continue tolerating, loving, and respecting that other person and being a little more at ease when you see them. Key in that, of course, is that you close the chapter on your end. And that is something that I call journaling. That we'll talk about another time, how to journal and how to really close a chapter. Doesn't mean you can't never reopen it. Just think about all of the TV series, book series, movies. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But you need to close it first. You need to end it first with love and gratitude. We'll talk about that another time. In order to tolerate others, to identify on a simple worksheet all the things you're tolerating on a daily basis. I suggest you keep a running sheet for like a week. Yet, when you're doing that, in regards to what are you tolerating from others, you also need to write down what you notice other people are tolerating from you. Okay? So there's what am I tolerating from others? What are others tolerating from me? And am I willing to modify that? In order to do any of that, you need to choose you and you need to choose happiness. And you can only do that if you love yourself and know that you can handle anything. That means you have the self-esteem or self-confidence in yourself. I teach that. I'm a self-love and self-confidence coach, transformational mentor, transform you back to your own brilliance. So I'd love to talk to you, and I'd love to invite you to check out some of the programs and opportunities that I'm offering in our Win-Win store. One is very simple. It's a one-on-one call with me where I'm helping you see some of the things you may wish to work on, see some of your patterns. And I love to call it Breakthrough to Your Brilliance. It's a free call, one-on-one, facilitated by me to help you get your first breakthrough. You talk to my clients, one time on with me, you have a breakthrough. And of course, there is my bootcamp, my bootcamp on confidence, confidence acceleration bootcamp. I'd love to invite you to that. Check it out. I run it a couple of times a year. It's always limited in numbers because I am very, very focused on you getting what you need out of it. From clearing limiting beliefs to identifying patterns to making sure you know yourself and the steps on how to get there. And that is where we create an action plan. So check it out. And then after you've checked it out, be sure to send me a note. Of course, you know, you can also find me everywhere on social media. Send me a note. And remember to write down both sides of the tolerations. And then I'll be able to address some of your questions, right? Let's make sure we keep at it because it's important for you and the world to choose you and to choose happiness. That's going to allow you to have the positive impact that you desire and that the rest of us deserve from you. I look forward to seeing you again soon, every week. See you then.